But I was just wondering, during November 8th, can we start somewhat earlier, like 8:30? Because we have lots of people. We want to finish like within the 5 hours, 6 hours. Like everyone, you can imagine that we have more than 20, and everyone need to use like the 10 to 15 minutes. Suppose, I don't know, so sure, 5 or 6 hours. So I'm just wondering if we can start from 8:30. I mean, if you still want to stay here on 9, should be fine. But if someone can come out early, I can start some presentation, maybe 1 or 2 earlier, okay? So let's try to move a little bit earlier. Because during that day, during the afternoon, we also have another guest speaker seminar in our program, GSL and the Logistics Management program. I try to invite one of my previous students, our previous students in our program, and right now he is he launched a new small company, but do a very good business. I would like him to share something. November 8, we have the lecture.
不是15号。
都有 both. No,
对
8.
14个8号。
Yeah, we have the following.
22.
Okay, yeah, November 8. Okay, we have the seminar later. But Joanne, we don't have a Chinese here.
Sorry.
Okay. So just for reminder, November 1, no class. Hopefully you can well prepare your paper presentation. November 8. Because of the fairness, actually I'm all free available during that day, but November 8, like a couple years ago, some students feel, unfair because like they think like some people can have 1 more week to prepare. They feel a little bit unfair, and for me it's very difficult to judge because like the one group they start somewhat earlier, maybe learn mature, but another one they have more time to prepare. So for me it's a little bit challenge to give a very fairness evaluation. So this year I try to, maybe this is the second time I try to group together if possible. Like one semester I have a 3 week to finish whole presentation because during that case we have more than 37 students. Terrible. Just kidding. But could we possibly start from 8:30? I mean, most of you can still stay here from 9. I mean, because like our original class start from 9. But if possible, if 1 or 2 can come out earlier, I can start 1 or 2 presentation. Maybe I can save some time for the following. Okay. Each people I count like maybe you can prepare 10 to 12 minutes plus 3 minutes for me to do some Q&A. So I count like every 15 minutes we can have 1. So which means every hour I supposed to finish 4 students at least. And please make sure you have well time control, because it's kind of lots of people. And I wish we can go very smoothly. So if you have lots of things you need to share, and previous my experience, someone spent like more than 20 minutes or 25 minutes. I mean, and it should be fine. But if you expect you will spend a very long time, maybe you can, come somewhat earlier or at the end. Okay, so just hopefully we start from 8:30, and I will try to send an email during the eCampus system to remind, because someone still no show today. I wish I could remind everyone to know this. So Joanne, please remind me if I forgot to send an email. So again, November 8. So next week we have no class. November 8 we will start from 8:30. Okay, hopefully you can bring your breakfast and even for lunch. Okay. Should I need to give you a free pizza? I wish, but it's very difficult to arrange. We don't have a Pizza Hut here.
Yeah.
Couple years ago, I tried to bring a pizza, but the Pizza Hut they don't want to deliver in our university. Maybe we really need a food panda. I don't know. Is there any pizza store nearby here? I don't know. Okay, let me think about it. Okay. Maybe, I don't know. Okay, let me quickly finish my slides. Like we talk about globalization, this is several advantages, but you will see still lots of risk, which may failure due to the long distance operations. So for example, number 1 is globalization. So maybe you cannot well control your branch in other countries. Number 2 is the cultural differences. This is always a bigger problem. And Language problem should be fine. Legal system, political, lots of things, unstable economic conditions, at least several there. Always lots of risk need to finish. Sometimes like even for like the globalization, you will create lots of problems like how to close the international borders, and also like lots of stuff in transit. What does that mean? For example, I give you the example from Shanghai to Europe early beginning. You can imagine like your inventory is still along the ocean, but sometimes like depends different transportation way may have a different. Sometimes if you really need some inventory, but they are still on the ocean, so it's very common in the real case. So we have several like risks. And during my exam, I may say that, for example, like please list 5 risks for me. I don't want you to remember everyone, but just maybe 5, just 5. And even though you don't need to remember everyone, you just write down your own thinking, maybe. During the exam, maybe I will go this way. Okay, so I listed several things here, and even for the practical, you can see practical difficulties like government policy. For example, United States, they want to lift the tax. It's unusual. Different presidents have a different challenge. So they have this kind of like a different way. So in general, we use a very simple way, several ways to do a risk management. Number 1, we call it R4. R4 means try to use 4 different steps. Number 1 is try to identify your risk, register your risk, and analyze that and develop some like the possible actions. We call it R4 stage. Just one by one, okay? And sometimes we try to do more like how to monitor and control if possible. So you see like the first video I shared today, they try to observe how typhoon or natural disaster affect Japan. And then they try to monitor that and see what kind of the supply chain cargo's flow will be affected based on this natural disaster. So someone needs to do some monitoring control. So you can try to do this way. So some people try to, but this is very simple flow chart. If my students draw this flow chart in their master thesis, they will be argue with me. Okay, it's just very simple, but just on that, And that's the previous example in our textbook. They say like in a company in Los Angeles, they try to do lots of work even for the preparation. They try to do lots of work. You see, you can read like number 1 is try to make sure how many resources you have, identify everything possible risk you may occur. So even for the identify risk, they try to do lots of work. We say identify risk, but they try to do the steps 1 to 7. So you can see like even for, but it's very tedious. You can really understand. And this is analyze and prioritize the risk. Okay, so how to prioritize your risk like in the whole thing is mainly through the 3 things: impact, likelihood, and timing. So impact is why maybe we can try to evaluate the past potential impact for these events. And in serious will be highest level, lowest is put on the end. Likelihood is similar to probability. Try to estimate how frequent they occur. If they're frequent every day, better to do something. Like the typhoon in Japan almost occur every year. So you better think about how to solve that. Timing is also very important. So what kind of timing? If you found like right now global is kind of like the economic is kind of like the blooming, maybe you can try to think out some strategy. But if maybe another like the financial crisis will be occur, you better to feel how to solve that. So different things may have a different way. And decide a response. I also give you several steps. It's fundamental step to tell you how to do it 1 by 1. Even in your master's thesis, maybe you have your own response and your strategy, proposing your idea. Maybe you can follow by this. They have like we call it SOP, the standard operation procedure, to tell you how to solve that and try to see what kind of action plan you could develop. So sometimes like in my previous project, we mainly try to eventually we tell them like, okay, we have 3 different strategies for different situations, different scenario, how to do the actions, something like that. So for this, like the several things I listed here, But when we do the risk management, number one is try to do the periodical review. For how frequently depends on your needs, but in general, I suggest maybe 1 quarter, maybe every quarter, so 1 month you can try to solve that. Some people try to develop different level to level 1 to level 5, or even level 6. So you can set up a different level to make sure, because sometimes those kind of risks are very difficult to compare. So maybe you can just easily categorize level 1 to level 5. So maybe easier. So here is a different so from the no significant risk to a severe risk. Okay. I jumped several slides. Hopefully it should be fine with you. Some risk is we call inherently. What is the meaning of inherently? In your company, maybe you control very well, but since it is supply chain, so your supplier may have something wrong, then you will inherit that risk. So as I mentioned before, some raw material supplier, they have the financial problem, they may not give you raw material on time. This will affect your business. So we say this is inherent. Maybe you don't know before, because it's not internal in your company, it's outside your company. So this is one possible. Another two is a time dependent. Sometimes they may just occur seasonal. Some demand will suddenly jump out during seasonal. Some maybe not every year, but couple of years they will jump. If you look at the financial, in financial control, several years they will check the trend. The trend will be occur maybe every 4 or 5 years. So not every year. Sometimes we call a progress dependent risk. Is when you do something and you will follow by your actions, we call it a progress. And sometimes we even call it secondary risk. It's very easy to understand, the traffic accidents. Some traffic accidents occur. Some people want to avoid that, but create another we call secondary accidents. Similar like in a risk. Some response, if you not implement very well, you may force another possible. So this is the example for the risk. If you want to register with try to identify they who create this risk and describe the risk. Okay, that's an easy way to do. And some qualitative approach. I try to give you some quantitative based approach before qualitative mixture. So for example, we tell you the faulty logic is try to transfer from qualitative to the quantitative. Some people try to do a statistics and data mining. We talked about last week. It's kind of quantitative approach, and sometimes we're just very limited. We call it qualitative. So how to do the qualitative? You just describe by words. So nature of a risk, consequence, likelihood, scope, how they affect and responsibility, who share that, and who share risk. Objective, and this is several things. You can do this way. Better than nothing. Okay, so this is the example listed in the textbook. I think it should be fine, so you can go back home to read. But let's talk about this table. This is then try to define the qualitative term and give them the positive likelihood, and then tell you what happened. The key points here is how to estimate this part. This one is easy. This part is also easy. Difficult one is here. You have the 5, and in here we assume every degree are the same. So it's a little bit difficult to always estimate very good probability. What else we could do, since the probability is maybe not that easy to estimate? So we have other approach. And this is very similar to level 1 to level 5. I may quickly jump. This one is something we are help you to estimate the probability. So you could see the horizontal, they try to list all possible problems during the delivery, during the transportation, during the logistics management. So you can see long lead time, maybe late delivery, wrong goods delivery, wrong amount delivery. They try to list all possible, and then calculate maybe per month how many times they occur, and then draw this figure and transfer to the probability. How to transfer? Anyone want to guess, or anyone can answer this question?
Percentage.
Very good. Use a percentage. So you can count, for example, like the 43 or maybe 49. Then you add all of them, 49 divided all of them, you can have a percent probability. That's one easy way. But at least can guarantee you can estimate the probability in a certain simple way. Certainly it's not a very always a good way, perfect way, because it's just 1 month. If you can keep tracking a long time periods, maybe good. But always not that long. So for example, like some people like to do a time series model forecasting. Time series try to use a lot of long period data. But recently we found that's maybe not that good, although more data we find. Imagine like if you really want to forecast the rail passenger in eastern Taiwan every year, how will you do? Let me repeat my question again. If you want to predict next year, how many tourists will travel in Hualien by rail? Maybe you can try to collect the historical data. How many rail passengers take the train from other city to Hualien, right? How many years you should collect? 1 year?
Maybe 5 years.
Maybe five may be better than 1 year. How about 10?
Better.
How about 12? Better. How about 20 years?
Too much.
How about 30 years? You see a problem. If you collect data more than maybe, I don't know, 30 years ago, 30 years ago data maybe not really contribute the forecasting. That's a problem. I just want to let you know something behind the quantitative approach. So more data may not always be very good. Depends. Okay, remember my word. So if you, in the future, you want to do the forecasting, in passenger rail system, we can easily to collect data from 50 years ago, because TRA, we call it Taiwan Railway Association, they have the statistics from 50 years ago. But no one really used the 50 years ago's data to predict what we have on next year. In general, we use 10 to 12 years, because kind of 1 decade, nearly decade should be fine. Okay, and we use the time horizon, always update is 10 years. Okay. What else we could do? We call it ABC rule, and some people call it the 80-20 rules. So try to draw this figure. What kind of thing in this figure? So horizontal means a cumulative percentage of risk. Vertical means a cumulative percentage of consequence. How to read that? You see, we have an A, B, and a C. Who is more important?
A.
A. Really? Maybe yes. Why? You see, like the A means like the cumulative percentage of risk. Okay. The consequence they create A may be
70%.
larger than others. See, A, B, and C. How to read that? A and C, who is more important to deal?
A.
A or C? Definitely not B. B is just intermediate, so you can ignore. Okay. A. Most of you agree with A, right? Anyone want to support C? Okay, Daniel. Okay, let's see what happened between A and C. A means like can you give me any example for the type A? What kind of example maybe is similar to type A? You know the cumulative percentage of risk, maybe very few, but they create larger disaster. Yeah, like I don't know, hurricane eruption, like typhoon. Similar, yeah, several disease or something. They may not occur, but once they occur, they will create a severe. And the type C may be, traffic delay, traffic accidents, something like that. They occur almost every day. Which one should deal with first? It's a debate, another debate. You will see A. How would you think? For example, some people will say like A, but type A may not occur every year.
That's true.
I don't know, but they will say some boss will say we should not spend so much money to dealing with type A. Some people argue with that. So how do you think? Type A should dealing with first or type C?
Type A.
So it's still type A. Okay, Handy still in type A. Type A is more important actually, but some private company was still on different viewpoints. Because private company they think it's severe, should not deal by them. So it's interesting. Later at the end of this semester, Professor Chu will share one chapter is talk about how medium or small size of company during the supply chain risk management, they may have a different viewpoints. It's not their business. Even yes, but they may not be able to handle that. So in their cases, maybe type C, they will focus on that because they can easy to handle and solve lots of problems, and customer may not be more satisfied. So type A, well, it depends. Okay. And some people even draw this way. So, in your master thesis, try to draw more figure. Most of my previous students, they tend to write lots of words in chapter. So, but suddenly they will find like they write down chapter 1, 2, and continue to chapter 3. They suddenly find they run out of the words. They will start to repeat their words again and again and again on the end. Try to draw like figure like this way to illustrate your ideas sometimes. So how to read this map? Horizontal means the consequence. Vertical means the probability. The difference with the previous figure, but it doesn't matter. So this figure, still they try to treat like A, B, and C. So you could see A means more significant if you locate it there. So you can try to define your events is kind of maybe some probability and versus some consequence, and try to see where they should be located. This is another way. It's still qualitative. Again, right now we don't do too much like a quantitative approach. Although we talk with you like the data mining or something, that's more advanced. But at least you could do this way. Easy way, you just calculate the probability, draw the bar figure, calculate it, and then you can start to do this as a potential one. What else we could do? Some people try to do this way. Even more qualitative. They use the matrix, so try to define which should be attributed to A, B, or C. Okay, I just want to let you know several. And fishbone figure we mentioned last week. For example, if late delivery occur, they may try to see maybe because of too many jobs, like the Uber Eats, like the Panda Foods. They receive lots of tasks, they cannot be finished within 30 minutes. Maybe traffic congestion, they argue for that. Because last week or past 2 weeks, lots of transportation guys need to talk about this case, and everybody try to analyze why Uber Eats will have so many accidents within consecutive 3 days or 5 days. Because of traffic congestion, they want to drive even faster than as usual. So that's another problem. Maybe your truck will be breakdown, or not just truck, maybe motorcycles, and late loading, maybe you receive a loading. So try to analyze, and even for the truck, if the breakdown is like the main problem, maybe you see some truck maybe go through a mountain, climb the mountains, or routes will be another problem. Distance, long distance and location, and how age for the truck, and how frequent you do the maintenance. So you can try to draw this way. Okay. Some people like to do the process chart. It's similar to another quantitative course we call simulation in next semester. Next semester where I will launch another course we call simulation. It's based on extend from the statistics, more calculation, and always calculation. But one way is try to define each process one by one, and try to see how they arrive on the storage, and each time they spend how many distance, and try to classify into several different steps, and try to see each movement operations, how many time they spend. And you can try to do this kind of analysis. And some people will do this way, we call it FMEA. So we try to talk about how kind of factors will failure these whole operations. Try to look from the other side. Try to look for what kind of failure. So some people will look for reliability. In this case, looks like the other way. understanding on a different way to look at it is look at the why failure. Okay, so we try to still calculate with luck. And many people in the master thesis will try to do a scenario analysis and try to define lots of different scenarios to see in each different scenario, different settings, how to solve this problem. So somewhere we will do that. And simulation, I'm good with that. And then, okay, anyway. So this is one example in simulation. And let me quickly explain with that. It's kind of like we call it queuing model. Queuing model is very common in the practice. So for example, if you work in the McDonald's, and they have several representatives to serve with you, sales clerks there, and you just wait for the line. Sometimes you will wait, sometimes you will switch another line, sometimes you will decide to quit because the line is a long line and almost no move. So queuing model mainly discuss with this kind of queuing behavior. And how many times you spend in queue, how many times you spend to wait, how many times you spend in service, and then to decide two things. Number one, should we increase the number of the service agent? What does that mean? Increase the number of service agent means that the boss should pay more salary for that. So you increase the system operation cost. The other way, you also increase your customers' level of service. So customers should not wait for that long. The kind of trade-off you can imagine in this case. So every queue, they always talk about this trade-off. And we can do lots of simulation to calculate on average how kind of like the average queuing time. So you can do more analysis. Okay, that's more quantitative. And at the end, maybe we can try to do the other like what we call the risk monitoring control. You can draw like a process control chart or like the previous video, they try to use the software to monitor everything. But you can try to step by step to see what should you want to treat. Okay, I give you one example here. Check the lead time for each delivery is very important because like sometimes you have to make sure we're not always very easy to pursue the just in time. But better you can do the time coordination. What's the difference? Just in time means ideally everyone jump in and suddenly you assemble and deliver outside. I told you it's very difficult to run in practical words. But only way you could do is try to coordinate all schedules and make sure they arrive in the right time. At least, maybe not just in time, but still you can do something. Okay, so I have several listed here. And finally, we can draw also like this way. Some people like to use this way. Is like, for example, you can check lots of delivery number and try to see the lead time. You order the raw material from different raw material supplier. You can try to draw this figure and you can try every time your deliveries, they arrive on time or a little bit behind. You can try to draw this way and try to see lower controlling your upper, try to make some like a region. Make sure they're located in this safety region. If something outside this region, maybe you can try to discuss it in this event. If inside this area, it should be fine. So several ways you could do. So we talk about ABC analysis, we talk about FEMA, we talk about risk map or risk matrix or a fishbone diagram or like lots of ways. All these are very simple and qualitative approach. Okay? So I think I successfully finished my slides. Alright, so I go through very fast. Hopefully you can well understand. If not, it should be fine. You still go back home to read. Next week we don't have class. Then we have a presentation, and then right after November 15, we have the midterm exam. During the midterm exam, like all materials will be covered by my slides. So until right now, so we have the 6 slides, right, from week 1 to week 6, and all these slides will cover all my materials. And you can prepare one A4 sheet. You can write down whatever you need on both sides, bring to here to help you to answer those questions during the midterm exam. But I'm not so sure. The final exam, you should ask the Professor Chu. Maybe he has other regulations. So make sure you ask first, okay? And during the midterm exam, I will give you another open question. Similar to what we've done during the discussion, I will give you one news. I haven't share it in class, and then ask your opinions. Please list 5 or 10 strategies for me. Maybe not 10, 10 should be too much. Maybe 5. Give me or sometimes I give me 3 ideas to support this company, or 3 ideas against this company maybe. I will try to ask something like that. It's an opening question, but I want to see how you answer through my logical training during the whole semester. Alright, so got on to finish. Any question, comments for today? Please.
For the ABC analysis, you said that we must focus on the C side, but
Ideally, everyone will look for the A side. I would say most of the textbook will tell you look for the risk A. This is okay. I think I better go back. I would say like most of the textbook will say type A is very important because although they are not occur so frequently, but once they occur, they will create a terrible damage. But who should take care with the type A? The answer may be government. It's kind of government level. For the middle or small size company, maybe they can only treat with the B and C. They may not be able to handle it them. This kind of risk need to spend lots of money to handle. For example, we just talked about typhoon occur in Japan almost every year. We like lots of roads and if you are just freight transportation company, you may not be able to rebuild reconstruct every road. You can only rely on the government to handle that. So I would not say type A is not that important. I just want to tell you standing on different viewpoints and different stakeholders, they may have a different thing. Small size company, only they can do is handle the C. That may be good, because that's what they can do. But most of the textbook will tell you, okay, type A is very important. You should take care of the type A. In my viewpoints, maybe different stakeholders can be dealing with a different viewpoints.
but for like inaccuracy in forecast, if our forecast is error, the consequence will be so high.
Oh, that's another issue. Okay, let's talk about forecasting. If forecasting is correct, should be fine. This is if your forecasting is error, for example, the consequence may be a little bit different. The probability may not be so like this way. Maybe you can have a different. Actually I would say this is still a qualitative approach. We can always have the other better quantitative approach. My idea is even though you don't know how to do a very good calculation, this is what you can do. Start from this way. This is just try to list all possible risks you may have within every season or every month. And then try to draw this bar, then you can quickly generate the probability. How about the consequence? You can try to see every time if you failure in a bill,